right, look, Adam, how's it going? Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin. Nice to be here.
All right, so you want to introduce yourself to the community?
Sure. I'm Adam. I'm one of the co-founders of the MusicBox project. I'm a musician at heart. I'm responsible for the art, the website, just general marketing stuff, doing Twitter Spaces, doing interviews, and yeah, that's about me.
All right, Adam, look, do you want to share with us the main features of the Music Box NFTs and why people should, consider adding this to their collections?
Wow, you're jumping right into it, huh? So Yes. Let me put a in bullets basically what the project event is, right? So it's a 3D art and music NFT project. It has an algorithmic composition. So basically, we built an algorithm that creates the music out of recordings that we created beforehand using some legendary and less legendary synthesizers and drum machines, stuff like that, in our studio. And beyond just being a novelty, art, obviously, in my very biased opinion, really good 3D art and really good music. It also has utility to it that comes in the form of a free minting service. So we built alongside MusicBox, we also built another project that is still being developed called Adabox. And Adabox, one of the features it will have is a self-service minting platform. So that means that you can log in with your wallet and essentially create a project, upload the files, and then mint them. And the way that they would work together is by owning the music box, you'll be able to do the minting without the minting fee. So typically, minting services, they charge for the minting fee itself, regardless of the transaction fee and the min ADA that is attached to the NFT. And by owning a music box, essentially, you get a set of number depending on the rarity of the box for free. In the collection, there is 1,000 boxes that were algorithmically generated, and 9 more custom-made boxes where we collaborated also with musicians and other projects on Cardano. And those will be auctioned actually very, very soon, hopefully within a week of this call.
Okay, so you kind of said a lot about Adabox, and I feel like you said a lot, but you also didn't say enough for me to truly grasp. Do you mind kind of breaking down Adabox a little bit before we dive deeper into the actual drops, the Music Box NFT music drops?
Sure. So Adabox was born after MusicBox, both holistically and like from an idea perspective. um, the thing that we try to achieve really is obviously by doing the drop itself, like the original drop, we knew that we need to mint them. And one of the co-founders is the developer behind all this. He's also an SPO, so he knows his way around Cardano. And he said, I'll build the minting myself. We'll do the minting ourselves. We don't need like anyone else. That was amazing, and we really did everything ourselves. And during the minting and after the minting, we always missed information around the drop, like something very basic as like how much money did we make, and we didn't want to go into the wallet and check that. That's we could, but we wanted the nice dashboard. We wanted like to see all the information together, make some correlations. For example, how many people entered the minting and stopped midway. So this is stuff that comes from our probably tech background as like in working in startups and high tech. I think both of us just looked at everything related to the blockchain. It's so I'm going a bit sideways here, so I'm sorry, but in essence, even though this is all Web3 and blockchain, there's some fundamentals, to the user experience that will probably remain the same as Web2. So stuff like how you show information to someone, we don't need to invent something unique just for Web3. Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So there's a lot of things to be carried over from Web 2 world into Web 3, especially when it comes to user experience, when it comes to being more efficient. You want as less clicks as possible with the most information as possible, and everything needs to be very easy to interact with. And for some reason, there is this notion that everything in Web 3 is very, very complex, because the blockchain technology in itself, it's not that easy to grasp. You have Haskell, you have, all these coding frameworks that are essentially very different than what you would find elsewhere. But again, from a front end perspective, from a user experience perspective, things needs to actually be centralized. They actually need to be focused and compressed. You don't want someone to interact with a million screens just to achieve something as simple as minting, for example. So Adabox was born from a place of being, and in some way, it's funny to say it, but we were very lazy, and we found that a lot of things took too much work to get there. So we started to build like internal tools for ourselves. So like a dashboard shows statistics of behind the scenes, how many people entered the minter, how many left midway, how many people tried to access the dev tools to try to hack something, what did they try to hack, stuff like that. Which again, I'm positive that if anyone who listens to this and he is a developer himself and he is building on Cardano, this is nothing really new. What's a bit different with Adabox is that the minting part is really it's not a fraction, but it's a piece. It's one piece of the puzzle. We were looking to build something that would fulfill us as users of the ecosystem, the Cardano ecosystem. And there's a lot of things as users, and there's also multiple types of users on Cardano. You have the NFT people, you have the builders, you have people that do marketing. There's a lot of fractions that essentially they all need to coexist together. So let me give a less vague example of what we're talking about. And this is, again, it's still in the works, so I can't really commit to anything by talking about this, but this is roughly what we try to do. So let's take, for example, something as a floor price of an NFT. You have a lot of websites today in Cardano that give you this information, nothing new. One thing that is missing, however, I think, maybe it exists, but I don't know, something like that, is to give context around something like a floor price of something. And context is important, because if there was a tweet that caused the price to dunk, and you want to look into that specific aspect of the floor price, you would need to jump through a lot of information. Some of them can be fake news, some of them can be FUD, but you need to go to their Discord, to their Twitter, to their website, ask other users. Like, there's a lot of things you will have to do only to understand if what you're seeing was caused by fake news, by FUD, by something like they rugged. And again, at the end of the day, you probably might say the price still dunked. It doesn't really matter why. Like, if I lost money, I just lost money. However, with that said, if you would have context around that, if we can, in an intelligent way, show you stuff like why the price was dunked, correlated with other events that are happening at the same time, you might come to a different decision. And at the end of the day, it's to try and minimize the amount of alt tabbing and tab sweeping that as a user you would do. Now, how all of this is connected to Adabox is that we try to build something that would fulfill a user's journey in a single place. But that doesn't mean that we want to build everything from scratch. The idea is, for example, like what I've mentioned, is to collect the information from sources that already exist. So we not necessarily want to replace anything or any tool like CNFT Jungle or CNFT tools. That's really not what we're here to do, because they're good tools and people are used to them. But if we can collect information from them and centralize them in a single place, that might be, an added value on top of these tools being given separately. So that means we will work with stuff like iframes. So we will still present you CNFT Jungle, for example, if you want to browse, something. But then we can add a smart layer on top of that, a more intelligent layer on top of that. So that was just one example of something that we will have eventually. Adabox is going to be a platform that will try, and I'm emphasizing the try because we don't know if it's going to be possible or not, but we are going to try to centralize some of the ecosystem core things that you would need as a user into a single place. So that includes knowledge sharing, onboarding, minting, things that are related to NFTs, things that are related to DeFi, things that are related to epochs, statistics around epochs, more context into the pools themselves, the blocks that they generated, etc. So we just want to make a platform that will make the user's life more efficient with the chain. Let's call it like that. The road to get there is going to be very long. There's a lot of smart contracts that needs to be developed for all of this to be truly Web3. We're working on an incentive mechanism behind that as well, because obviously as people create and share knowledge, we don't always incentivize that in a proper way. So we do have tokenomics idea around that as well, and that tokenomics will serve everything within Adabox. So it will serve the minting aspect, it will serve the knowledge sharing, a DAO if we'll get to that as well. I don't think so, but I'm just saying, like, there will be sort of an incentive system that would give people a reason to use Adabox, and not just to either contribute or consume. The idea is that you will have both.
Wow.
So I went probably a bit too much on that, but yes, that's it's a very grandiose idea.
No, I think it's a great idea personally, and this is the reason why I wanted to know more is because first of all, I wanted to know more because I genuinely was interested, but I also find that I knew there was something more to it that just couldn't really be clearly articulated, perhaps just maybe on a Twitter page, for example. So thanks for those details. I think the community will definitely benefit from that. And anybody who's looking for these services in the future, absolutely. I think, like you said it yourself, you don't necessarily have to replace the other tools that have similar functionality, such as you mentioned, for example, CNFT Jungle, and CNFT tools, for example, but still something that can offer some utility to people. And as you said, centralize it, but not necessarily in any negative fashion, more like something that actually empowers the users of that because it simplifies things. Is that correct in a way?
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly right. Like, centralized became such a bad word in the crypto world, and sometimes you actually want stuff to be in one location. Like, it's not necessarily bad. Yes, it doesn't mean that. And I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the smart contracts part, because for this to be truly acknowledged and used by a majority of people, we think that the transparency of this will be very, very crucial. So when we say centralized, it doesn't mean that we're gonna, keep all the information. That will defeat the purpose of the platform. But centralized means that there will be a bunch of tools that you probably use on a daily basis that you're not even aware how you're jumping between them all the time. but you'll have them like in a single place with fewer clicks and more coherent. That's what we try to achieve.
Right. Got it. Okay. With that being said, I definitely want to get more now into the Music Box drops, which you touched on, but we really did focus a lot on Adabox, which is a future project, and I do believe in it. I've, follow on Twitter and just keep my eye on that. But I want to know, what is your favorite feature of the Music Box NFTs, and why?
Right. So now I'll need to split myself into two personalities, because I'm, on one hand, I'm very artistic. I'm a musician, I'm an artist, and that thing talks to me probably the most. That's what I feel like I pour my soul, my true soul, into. With that said, I was always a computer nerd as well. Like, I have a computer since I'm 8. I'm 34 today, so pretty long time. And I'm very excited about technology as well. What we kind of want to do with MusicBox was combine the two. So we are a bunch of nerds, and all of us are also a bunch of musicians and like sound enthusiasts, and we hear prog music and stuff like that. So we also take music um, in a we're gamifying the music a lot of the times, doing like mathematical stuff with it, and that sparks like the two sides of me personally, right? There's the sound guy and there's the tech guy, and I tried to combine both of them. We were we were extremely inspired by the unsigned algorithm project like 1.5 years ago, and I just looked at that, and when I was approached by the team a long time ago, I wasn't in crypto that much. Like, I missed my chance on Bitcoin. That's about it. That's like my background in crypto, and I own like 1 or 2 Ethereums from 2017, like nothing major. I didn't know Cardano, I didn't know ADA, I didn't know anything about that. And I was approached by a friend in real life that he knows that I'm a musician and an artist, and he just asked me, "Have you heard about this thing called NFTs that's popping up right now? Do you want to do something like that?" And I, bluntly told him, like, why would anyone buy a JPEG on like for $100? Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And I told him, look, I have work, I have life. I don't know if I want to get into this game. And he insisted that I'll just join a call and let's take it from there. So I did, and they showed me unsigned in that particular call, and I was blown away by it. It was so cool. And obviously, with a bit more due diligence on my part and looking into Cardano and crypto, I was immediately, there was a click, and I said, let's do an unsigned, but let's do it with music, right? Because it's possible. Rather than doing colors and lines of codes, let's do it with notes and scales and different synthesizers. Like, what's the problem? It sounded so simple and so elegant. Like, let's do it. We're gonna record. It's gonna take us a week, 2 to record all the sounds, and we'll mush them together in some algorithm. That's it. Um, so this was the initial idea of the Music Box, to make something that would combine the music and the technology and try to create something really cool out of that. In principle, it sounded perfect, but in reality, the initial music boxes were a bit, how would I put it softly? They were kind of quirky. Most people would not consider them to be the peak of music. They are very cool to people that come from the sound world and from maybe a music background, because the idea behind it is very nice, but as soon as you actually hear them, most of them sound kind of trash. So we had to, we did the first drop. It was very cool. There was no utility behind it. It was literally just this very simple idea. It's like music that was generated by a computer, which, by the way, it was like 5,000 lines of code. Like, it wasn't something small. It was a major technological thing to create something like that. You can imagine we we recorded I think it was 12 different synthesizers, and each note, and we had different sounds of those notes, different scales. Like, it was a very long process. It took us like 2 months just to record everything. Um, so yeah, so the idea was, to answer your question, it was to take something very that takes like the music part in us, then the other part, the nerd part, combine the two and make something that's it's cool. And so this was the initial version, let's call it like that, of MusicBox.
So
And
is
that
this
that
the
thing.
spooky boxes? Is that right?
So the spooky boxes, they were actually handmade by us. So those were musics. Those were like boxes of the pumpkin and the music that we created to try to build a crowd for the actual drop. And we also did a ton of cover songs for other like influencers on Cardano. We approached them. We told them, "Hey, we want to make you this music box. Like, what's your favorite song?" And then we just created a cover of that song. We created more than 30 of those. People can find them actually on our Instagram if you're interested. We couldn't really sell them because it's a cover, and obviously we don't want to get striked by DMCA, but it was still cool. And we gave those boxes as a present to those influencers and projects and just people in general. And we also did giveaways of that. And this is how we essentially built a community around MusicBox initially. And when the drop happened, um, I think we sold something like 400 of them out of 600 within a day, and then we stopped the mint. Uh, there were some stories around that, and we always knew we need to improve. Obviously, the music. We need to improve the visuals. Like, if we're gonna, like, we saw that there is interest in this, but we did what we had to do in a very short time to capture a very specific moment, because we started something and we got like 1,000 followers within a month, something like that. So we didn't expect this to actually be a popular thing. Obviously not as popular as other PFP projects that sell out within 10 minutes, but in this niche thing, we actually found more interest that we thought we would. And then we created the 420 boxes. And that drop was actually a disaster because and that's a fail on my part. The day that mint happened was also the day that Equine, the horses, if you know that project, they also did their drop on that day. And basically, I think this specific project, the Equine one, just sucked all the ADA from Cardano. Like, there was no ADA left for people to buy anything else. So the timing that we picked couldn't be worse. But that's, again, it's a good thing that happened, because that was the kick we needed in the nuts to do the actual project that we always dreamed about, which was to do a 3D project and with music that is actually cohesive. Let's say it sounds like a piece of music. You can remix that. You can add layers on top of that. And that thing took us 7 months to build. And this is the latest drop that we're doing right now, the MusicBox Dimensions. And this is the true form of MusicBox that we initially, envisioned
Well,
back then.
I've got to say, I mean, I do hold some of these, and the Dimensions boxes, the latest ones, are, in all due respect, leaps and bounds ahead of what you were doing with the Alpha drop, which
Absolutely.
which was also a step ahead of the 420 box, and maybe even a step ahead of the spooky boxes. This is something else. I mean, when I first opened my box and I pressed play, I was like, "What?" I was blown away. I honestly, I can't
Thank you.
even deny. I was blown away. I was blown away. So excited. I started, like I told you earlier, started remixing some, and I definitely do plan on sharing those with the community when the time is right. I don't know, maybe they'll launch alongside this. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but I was hoping to get the timing right to be honest. But uh, I'm excited. I definitely plan on grabbing a few more. So please, nobody touch the floor price. Let it sit there. But I don't mind going through them and listening to the ones and finding the ones that I actually want to work with. That's also something that I find that's really interesting here, you know? So
Yeah,
I do appreciate that. Can you talk about the value of building in a quiet market?
that's a tricky question. I think in general, the most obvious value is that there's less pressure, time pressure to release something that is not yet fully baked. You know, you would see. I've seen some projects that were released not fully baked, and they, lost momentum very quickly. You could potentially have. You still have lots of projects that have, huge hype behind them and huge volume behind them. And something that I see creators do time and time again is that they take these edge cases and rely their plans based on that. And I think something that I personally realized is that you can't create a business plan based on someone that won the lottery, for example, or say Elon Musk built this $1 billion portfolio with all these companies, and he obviously did that with tremendous amount of work, right? It's not just luck, but you can't base yourself and the business or the project that you're doing based on those edge cases. Like there is a reason why there's only one Elon Musk or just 100, top 100 people that are that huge. So you need to work on more on fundamentals. And there is no doubt that I think one of the most crucial fundamentals is being consistent with what you believe and building towards what you believe you are aimed to build, and not change your mind with every feedback that you receive from someone. This is probably easier to do when there is a bear market, when there's not too much pressure, when you're not too blinded by these huge projects, all these tremendous stories about the Kongs and the apes and the or3s and whatever. Like these are the edge cases. And I'm not saying these guys are just lucky. They obviously worked very, very hard. I'm not at all trying to take away, from their success. All I'm saying is you can't look at them and tell to yourself, I want to be like that. And even if you copy exactly the same steps that they took, there's still a chance you'll not make it. And if you don't make it, you shouldn't, take a step back and just give up and move to the next thing. This is something we very believe in, specifically in MusicBox as well. We've been around for a year and a half. We never sold out in a way that like we made 1 million ADA. We made a bit of ADA, which is pocket money. It's fun. It's nice. We gave away a lot of that to the people that helped us do what we do. But I think if I can give a tip to people, and it's also something that we remind ourselves all the time, is that the ADA is the fuel of this car that is driving rather than the end goal. The end goal is something bigger, and it doesn't have to be something as cliched or as vague as saying, freedom. Yes, everyone wants freedom, but the goal with MusicBox is to fulfill something far greater than just having our pockets filled with ADA. Honestly, most of the people in this project, we work in tech, we earn good salaries, our life is not miserable. So this is really, we're not building this to fulfill a dream that is related somehow to, making more money. I can do a lot of other things and make way more money. This is the opportunity that we found ourselves in Cardano, in Web3, in crypto, the things you can do with music NFTs, the things you can do with the foundation and the infrastructure that Cardano built. Those are the opportunities we try to seize, and we try to, and obviously making ADA allows us to do even more of what we want to achieve. Like, we aspire to achieve a lot of things that, unfortunately, those are driven by this incentive, because we won't be able to maintain and fulfill our dreams just with a team of 3 people. Right now we're 4 people, but we only have one dev who's the co-founder with me, and I wish he could copy himself and have 4 more hands, but that's unfortunately not going to happen. So with the money that we generate right now, with the ADA we generate right now for MusicBox, that's like a Kickstarter kind of thing to do something bigger later. So I think this is all possible to do in a bear market, or it's more easy to do because the timing isn't that crucial anymore. Like, it doesn't matter if we do it now or in 6 months. It's about doing this the right way, that it's fully baked, that it's not half job. It's not a cash grab. This is like, we take this very, very seriously. We're lucky enough to have time to do this, alongside our day jobs. I'm hoping very much that I could leave my day job, obviously, to do this, because I'm way more fulfilled from this half of my world right now. So that is, one of the goals as well. And yes, it was way tougher to build something as complex as this, let's say a year ago. A year ago, from the point that you started a project, you need to be up and running within like a month, for you to actually make, money out of that, to get hyped, to get hype around that, to have like a traction community. If you told people back then, oh, it's going to be ready in a year, no one would looked at you. And this is why we've been a bit under the radar as well for the past, before we started to get back into social media and stuff like that, somewhere around October. We were very quiet for like 7 months. I attended some spaces, I tweeted a little bit, but we were so busy actually building the thing, and we didn't want to sell dreams, and just to tell people constantly that we're doing stuff, and then another month goes by, another month goes by. We didn't want to have any restriction with dates, so it's just better not to say anything. If people think we rugged, I can totally understand them. But the close community we had in Discord, core people, we were still interacting with them all the time, and yeah, now we feel much more that what we're releasing right now is way better, as you've said, and I appreciate that. It's way better than what we did initially, but it took time. We wanted to put the right amount of time to build something without the pressure to release something just for the sake of releasing it. And that's why we're also doing this with Adabox right now. We feel like the NFT side is ready. So there's no point holding that back. People would argue otherwise, because if you don't have the utility at the same time as the NFT, it doesn't look good. Yeah, that's fine. I get that. Yeah, like, that's an opinion. We feel like we've done our part, and we're very satisfied with the part of the NFT. So that's why it's already released, and Adabox will the minting part is already there. We minted using our own minter, so we ate our own dog food, as you say. It's just making that thing public now to other people to use, publicly. That is still it's getting finalized right now. So yeah, again, a long answer to a short question.
Well, thank you. No, you dive into the details that allow me to skip questions, which I like and don't like sometimes at the same time. It's completely it's completely fine. You're tackling so much and it's good. It just tells me that you're really hands on, of course, with the project. You by the way, did I tell you that they look really good? Like I don't know
Thank
if
you,
I said that. Like
thank you,
I
thank you.
love the way they look when I open the box and I'm seeing the lid moving up and down in the back. It's just oh my goodness.
And the camera is shaking a bit. Like I've put a lot of
It's
thought
so good.
into. Yeah, yeah.
They're so good. I like when I say this, I said it 100 times. I'm legitimately blown away. When I first saw them, I was legitimately blown away. Now, sorry, let's go back for a quick moment before I go to the next question. You mentioned different collaborators, and I see, or some of the collaborations that you've done. Is this
Mm-hmm.
like the Cheddar, the Nido,
Mm-hmm.
Hood
Yep.
Billions, Juice? I see. Okay,
Exactly.
so these are the one of ones that were given out for as auctions. Is that correct?
Yes, all of those will be auctioned,
Oh, they
and
will be auctioned.
yes, they haven't been auctioned yet. I'm waiting for a very specific uh, auction house to be ready.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's gonna happen in the next couple of days, I'm hoping.
I see. Now, do we get sneak peeks or do we get to listen to them first or is it just
Yes, you
mystery
can. You
drops?
can. No, you can listen to them. They're all on our Discord server. There is a sneak peek channel there,
Okay, okay.
and you'll be able to listen to all of them. I've also tweeted all of them. During before the drop happened, and I've told a bit about each collaboration. So the Jero Wallet one and the Futurefest one, those are music that we created, MusicBox. So me and my dear partner in music, his name is Third Eye. That's his online name. He's actually the sound genius behind the project. So he's doing the mastering, the mixing. He recorded everything through his studio. Um, so we both created these two tracks for them, the Jiro Wallet one and the Futurefest one, and the other ones, the rest of the collab. So Cheddar, Nido, Hood Billions, Juice, Crime Fighter, Odd Shape Shadow, and Disguise. They were generous enough to provide me with like a short loopable kind of music that they created. And I also asked them how you envision, the music visually, like describe to me what kind of environment they would be in. And I tried to design something that would hit also the environment. The environment. I tried to make it look like it sounds. I hope that makes sense.
It
Um,
it does and I mean, I'm too excited. The only trouble is that I can't I can't have all of them, I may not even have a chance to get even one.
yeah, those will be more deterministic to get,
Whew.
and yeah, there's a reason for that. We initially they were supposed to be airdropped to all the holders, but that would make them a fungible token rather than a non-fungible token. As I created more of these, I think I realized that they would be more special as a unique kind of thing, and they also going to be worth the most free mints. So they're going to be 3,000 free mints each, which
So
is
owning one grants you 3,000 boxes?
no, they they
Okay.
they grant you 3,000.
Oh, on the ADA box.
Yes, on Adabox. So you'll be able to mint 3,000 NFTs for free, and that typically costs somewhere between 4,500 to 6,000 worth of ADA. That
Right.
specific part.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are going to be 9 of those, hopefully auctioned very very soon.
Wow, there's a lot going on here. To be honest, much like a few levels deeper than I anticipated. All right, so are there any developers or projects that inspire music box?
Yeah. So as I've mentioned, I think the first one that really drew my attention was Unsigned. That was probably the most unique NFT I feel is still to date. It's also on chain, which makes it even more incredible. I wish we could make music on chain, but the file is just too big. Yeah, it needs to be, I think, 64 kilobytes or 128 kilobytes, something like that. And yeah, a music file is a couple of megabytes. So that's not possible. But yeah, maybe one day they will be all on chain. But yes, Unsigned was a huge inspiration from an art perspective, because it's very easy. It was very easy for me to translate that into music, because I understood what they did with colors and shapes, and you can do exactly the same with music. It's just that one of them you consume through your eyes and one of them you consume through your ears, but they're essentially almost the same. Obviously Unsigned is a little bit more complex and you have 30,000 of them. So I think that's the probably the one that inspired me the most. From a 3D art perspective, I think the first 3D one that again captured, and that was when we already knew that we want to do 3D. But I think the one that did it really good is Ugly Bros, because they're also doing music, and it's not algorithmically generated. It's not it's not generative art. All of them are one-to-one kind of characters and the music. So we wanted to do something that is still an algorithm and is still randomly picked, but we wanted them to look as if they were created one-to-one. And hopefully we nailed that part. So I didn't explain too much, but from the 3D art perspective of the music boxes, you have a couple of materials, environments, the ribs, the cage of the box, the nails, the lever. All of those were picked by a computer, by a metrics that we created. So we had the metadata of the boxes before we had the actual boxes rendered. So we knew how the 1,000 music boxes is going to look like, and we didn't touch anything. That's for the sake of transparency and making it legit, something that a machine has created, an algorithm has created. But I still wanted, it was very important for me that they would not look so alienated to one another. So when I designed all the materials and all the environments, I was hoping that no matter what combination would happen, it would still look okay. You have some NFTs that are generative, that are so off, and for some of them that's actually what makes them even more unique, right? But again, as an artist, I'm looking for stuff to look less off and more, how do you say the opposite of something looks off? I'm not too sure.
It's kind of in
But
sync, or something that's
yeah,
cohesive, something that's
cohesive. Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. So no matter what material you'll get, it will make some sense. Yes, the box is made of ice and the cage is made of wood. Nothing like that can actually hold, but maybe for a minute before the ice melts. So in any way, I try to do something that looks like a one of one, but is still algorithmically generated, and that fits for both the music and the art. So I guess those two projects are the most inspiring one for us.
Nice. Well, I've got to say, I think I've given too many compliments, but I'm enjoying this so much. It really turned my head when I found this. I said to myself, why wasn't I there last month or 2 months ago or however many weeks ago to catch the initial drops or something? I felt, you just like FOMO. I got to FOMO and I got to just start buying these because I can't miss out. So I'm okay FOMOing into certain projects. If it's a music related thing and I feel like it's quality, I don't really care if it sells out or not. I'm gonna jump in. I honestly don't really care. I don't need to check out the Explorer, the scanner to see how many have been purchased. I don't really care. I'm gonna be honest. I just jumped in and then I started looking into the project and the smart contract after the fact because I just I liked it so much off the bat, you know. So
Yeah, we're still minting in our website, so
absolutely.
no.
I'll be grabbing some more.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let you know. I'll be grabbing more. But specifically for me, I need to get one of these spooky boxes somehow. Please, somebody list one. I gotta grab. I do have one of the alpha box. I don't have one of the 420 editions. So I may have to grab a few of those off the floor or just scroll through and find one that I really like. But there were really only just at the time of this recording, there are only about 6 or 7 actually listed. It's just so unfair.
Yeah, most of the people either quit Cardano since then, or they just love them too much. I prefer the latter, but
Well,
it
I
could very well be that the former is also true.
that is true. I personally think it's the latter. Now I say this, which leads me to my next question, right? Because I believe that Cardano is gaining more interest as users, developers are migrating from other chains that have been affected by recent collapses in the industry.
Hmm.
So, what does the landscape of the music-based projects look like to you in the future?
Look, there is when we started, I think there was just us, and maybe a month later, Retrosound did their drop. There were like 2 people, doing music NFTs. Everyone was doing PFPs. Everyone, and games started back then. And I was a bit bummed by that back then. I was because Web3 is such a good platform for music NFTs. And when we went, you know, when we went to build the things, and I wasn't too involved in social media, etc. When I came back somewhere in September, October, and I saw all the builders that were back then, so especially people like Soundrig, um, Futurefest, the Listening Room, all the various musicians, Shart, Nido, all of these people took months to build themselves and to build infrastructure for music NFTs specifically. You have Project Mume, which is probably the most sophisticated one. I have no doubt in my mind that um, Web3 will probably change the music industry. It's just a matter of time right now. There's a lot of things to fix when it comes to the crypto world because of a lot of events that occurred. People, when they hear crypto, they hear about scams, they hear about Ponzi, they think about apes. Um, there's a lot of things we need to fix in that regard to onboard people to understand a little bit better and make it way more um, accessible. And we will need them to forget about everything they thought they knew. Just like with cannabis, for example, the 70s, the 60s, the 80s. You know, people who people who love conspiracy theories and stories about like the history of cannabis, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think we're now in a position that crypto gives a bad connotation out of the bat to most people that hear this. That's something that needs to be fixed. It can either be fixed with time, naturally, because time will pass and more people will prove that you can make great things on Web3 and with blockchain technology. And there will still be bad actors, obviously, all the scammers and all the Ponzi's, but they exist in outside of crypto. So it's not unique to crypto to have scammers. Scammers will be always in Web 4 and Web 8, whatever is going to be in the next 500 million years. There will always be bad actors. Um, music NFTs is probably the best. How do you say? It's like a couple that was meant to be Web3 and music, and that was our initial vision back then. We are musicians ourselves. There's nothing more I would love than releasing music of my own that is not algorithmically generated. Um, but that's the core of the project right now. It will probably change in the future. I've made lots of songs in my lifetime and lots of pieces of music, sorry. And I think probably with crypto and the way that Cardano is built, even more explicitly, it's it's gonna it's gonna be incredible. Within 2 to 3 years, I think the music industry will change, vastly. And you hear about Spotify trying to get into crypto. You hear about Apple trying to get into tokenomics and stuff like that. So I think they're not shutting their eyes, and they will try to catch up, but it will defeat the purpose of what we're building right now. The coin of the people, as people refer to it. So yeah.
I think I think we're in line, at least at a minimum, with our thoughts on music and how NFTs and music come so nicely together. As a musician myself, the reason NFTs hit me so hard is because of music and games. Of course, I also saw the idea of games and ownership of assets, at least some form of ownership of assets or some
Hmm.
transferability of assets. That hit me. And it's like I lost sleep for days because I realized I need to change my trajectory. I need to change what I'm doing. Not that I need to completely abandon every other platform, every other, let's say, Web 2, let's say, platform, but it really inspired me to, it actually caused me to go deeper within to myself and rely and trust more in what I'm doing in terms of giving my music, for example, to a platform, any of the platforms that we're using today. I don't want to name any, but any of the traditional, let's say, Web 2 platforms, I look at it as though, you give your art to them. And it,
Hmm.
it may not necessarily be like that, like you can delete it at any time, but I definitely have this feeling where that I'm giving away something that I could be sharing in an alternate fashion through
Yep.
NFTs. So I'm a huge supporter of
Absolutely.
NFTs. Like I said already, I just jumped into MusicBox. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't. I just said no, no. I can't miss this one. I won't miss this one. So FOMO is not something that I would absolutely recommend for everybody. But if something just compels you, it is what it is. Look where we are today, right? So I want to ask as well, being that MusicBox is the first algorithmic composition project on Cardano, can you discuss any plans to take it multi-chain in the future?
um, Honestly, me personally, I'm not very familiar with other chains. Uh, the only ones I know is, Ethereum, Ergo, Algo, maybe Solana, which we will probably never use. Polygon, I think. So those are the ones I know. I don't know too much about them. I this is why we have the dev guy on our team. He's the one responsible for, he's the CTO essentially. So he's gonna be the chief of technology in that regard. I don't know how complex it is to go to other chains, and so yeah, I'm not too sure if that's gonna happen anytime soon. I was approached by other projects on other chains that they wanted to do something similar to what we do, but we told them that it's not really for sale. So yeah, if you want it, you'll need to build it yourself.
I
Um,
see.
but yeah, I'll never say I don't have anything against other chains. It's not like I'm married to Cardano, but I feel like there's still a lot to do on Cardano. Like the mission is not even close to be done here, and Something I believe in very much is, and it's also part of my career. Like I'm working in this company that I'm working at. I've actually had 5-year anniversary today, I think, or yesterday.
Congratulations.
So thank you. And I believe in long-term relationships with everything. I've been playing guitar since I'm 8. I've been in karate since I'm 4. Like everything I do and everything the team that I am part of, everything that we do for long periods of time, and we complete them. You'll
You're
need to edit
committed.
this one out, but I committed. Yeah.
You're committed.
Um, it's like we do it 100%. There's no such thing as doing something halfway and then jumping to the next hot thing. Blah blah blah. I don't believe in that. I believe things should be done from start to finish. And with Cardano specifically, there's still a lot to do. And Cardano is a very good infrastructure. People might argue it's slow to develop, which I can agree to some sense, but once it ships something, it's extremely robust. And that's more important. Building a house of cards is very easy, and it's very easy to dismantle. Building a castle and good fortification takes longer, but you can withstand, tougher situations. And I respect that in Cardano specifically. But again, I'm a bit ignorant about other chains, so I can't talk too much if they are the same or not. But yeah, maybe in the future.
I see. Well, I mean, personally, I do support various chains, and Cardano is one of the first chains I was introduced to. I suppose Ethereum, well, of course, Bitcoin, I suppose, but
Mm-hmm.
Ethereum was the more engaging chain where people could truly, I suppose, interact with smart contracts and such. But Cardano, based on friends and family, I suppose maybe more family, Cardano seemed to be the one. And I agree, yeah, it's a bit slow in development when it comes to development. But when it comes to, for example, you creating the music for your project, you clearly said it yourself. It took more months than you initially thought it was going to take. I think, I don't know if you said those exact words, but you alluded to the idea that it took longer than you thought.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be something with, to me, really good quality stuff, right? So
Yep.
something that works, something you didn't necessarily have to pull the plug on and tell everybody, hold on, let's we got to fix this. We see that with some chains right now, as a matter of fact, a lot of things issues with that. But I personally think, this is just an opinion, but I personally think Cardano has a bright future, and as well with something like MusicBox and what can really happen with of course Adabox, what can really happen if, yes, the generative stuff is great, the algorithmic composition is beautiful. I actually let you know initially that this is something that I had already started discussing with developers about, and I found your project because of that, as a matter of fact. And I was like, wait a second, hold on, this one's different. I've seen this before in other ways, but this one is different because, one, it, again, I'm going to say it again, it looks really good. That's one thing that sets your project apart from a lot of others. It looks good. The sounds are unique. They're clearly musicians. I mean, we look at the YouTube, you can see the performances. Joining the Discord, that's another thing. You mentioned it yourself. You said the idea that you engage with the community in the Discord. Absolutely, it's a fun time in the Discord. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily have the most amount of free time to be hanging out in Discord servers, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this: there are many giveaways. I'm still trying to get a giveaway because I just want more boxes so I can have more stems, some more files to work with. It's like I don't really care how much they cost. I'm looking for the right sound, whether it's an A major or something. And I love the fact that I believe it's the alpha drops. You guys clearly outlined, uh, like just more certain musical elements to it as well, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it really,
Fun fact about. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, go for no. You go for it. I want to hear that.
Now, a fun fact about the initial drop was very much tailored around the music. Like the rarity of the boxes was also based on the music. That's why we had to visually represent, what scale was picked, what synthesizer was picked, what drum machine was picked. And with I think we found out later that anyone who purchased the box didn't give half a shit about what scale he got. There was maybe 3 people that were, that were excited about that. That was less than 1% of the people that bought the boxes. So with this dimension drop, there were still, we get, um, instead of saying what instrument was used or what scale it is, we just gave that specific pattern and name, and we gave it by doing an association game between ourselves. So we would hear like a pattern playing, and it would say, okay, this sounds like an orc, whatever. This is the first thing I associated with, and we just named that pattern orc. We have something called I think I don't know, divine or holy, whatever. So that sounds, that's more of a choir, kind of with lots of reverb and delay. So we gave those like different names, and you won't be able to find rarity charts for that. So we didn't base the rarities of the boxes are all based on the visual aspects, but the metadata still says the names of the patterns that you got. So what the bass lines, what's the name of that bass line, the chord progression, the lead notes, whatever it is. We just call it like a name. So you still be able, like people who are still interested in that, maybe, you'll go to, if you're looking for a specific sound, then you can go and look for a box, for example, that has maybe a bass line that's called Peace. And I want it with drums that were recorded with an MPC. So I'm going to look for Shadow MPC on 128 BPM. So for the music nerds out there, they'll still be able to do this min-maxing kind of thing. But for the most part, unfortunately, most of the people, they didn't care about that. And it was, and visually, I prefer the boxes to be cleaner. So there will be just a box in the middle, and that would be, the focus of whoever is going to look at this. Because with music NFTs, or I would say with MusicBox specifically, there is the visual aspect of that, but there's also the hearing aspect. And when there's too much noise in either of those, it's very hard to appreciate what you look at. So I wanted the box to be the center of, the senses that the eye, the eyes and the visual sensory, and the music to be just music. Because sometimes when you mention what is playing, I'll give you an example. Let's say if I'll put a picture of a guitar and I'll play a sound for you, you'll make a connection that what you're hearing is a guitar, even though it could be a piano, right? Or it could be a violin. I'm saying something that sounds similar to a guitar. Obviously, a violin, strokes of violin wouldn't sound like guitar, but if you're picking a violin, that could sound like a guitar. I can make the same, almost the same sound, because they're string instruments. So we didn't want to involve the two. Again, this is a mistake I feel we did with the first drop. But I'm happy to hear that you appreciated that. But most
It
people,
means a lot to me. Believe me. Look, I like them all. Like, I see the differences between them. Let me go back. You said the first drop. I have to be clear. What drop are you specifying? Because remember,
so the
I'm saying
alpha
remember
drop
to you
is
like you
the,
don't remember, but
yeah, the alpha is the first. That was an alpha drop.
the
That was like
official
a
drop. Because the
test.
other one, the
Yes,
spooky one, was a
the
giveaway,
spooky one was giveaways. Yes, they were
and
all
the
giveaways.
421 was.
And that was like the second drop, but that was the actual first official MusicBox drop. So the alpha drop was kind of a test. we didn't even know if this thing is like, are we wasting our time here? Is this even something that would be interesting to be like? We had no clue, right? We worked on this for like a month and a half, and we just wanted to see if it's even something that would be interested for people. So that's why it's called alpha, because it was like closed to, I think, initially we wanted to make it only like an invite only kind of thing. But we then opened it for everyone, like in our Discord, so everyone who was in the Discord could mint. So yeah, that's why it's called like alpha. But so I consider that to be the first, let's say, drop.
Right. Oh, I'm still feeling I'm just like I'm personally looking at the 420 boxes, and I'm just sad I wasn't there. I'm gonna catch up. I just gotta catch up. That's all I can say. I've got to catch up. I got one more question. I got 100 more questions I could ask, really, but I think you've answered so much, and I mean, we might have to split this up into two interviews because it's probably like a good hour and a half or
I
something.
tend to yeah, give long replies. I apologize for that.
No, I think it's good. I appreciate it, and I appreciate it as much as I appreciate the scales. The because it helps. I mean, it just helps, especially for remixing or producing it. It's like I can listen to it and I can play along by ear and figure it out, but it just kind of cuts out one step, even if it's 5 seconds or a minute of tinkering around,
Yeah.
But it helps. It helps, and also maybe for some DJs as well who may want to incorporate this into some of their sets. I've got lots of ideas for your NFTs. I'm just letting you know. So I definitely look forward to the day that you have some type of, like you said, some type of website or a page on the website where you can showcase other people's work. Actually,
Yeah.
before I get to my real last question, could you maybe give us some type of idea of perhaps the vision you have of sharing other people's work that do decide to remix or somehow use the MusicBox NFTs?
Yeah. My kind of the thing I would really love to happen is to just do a competition. That people would pick like the best music box remix, for example, and then do a prize for that. Like get like a prize pool, and really try to incentivize people to play around with the boxes. That's like the most um, basic thing I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about the music box itself.
Well,
Uh,
I'll do what I can do to help out with that. I definitely want to inspire that because, like I said earlier, I've already started. I've got a couple in the works. Mixed one down just the other night, actually just last night,
Amazing.
just to listen to it. And there's still some tweaks to be made, but it's odd because I typically take stuff and I have to make it unique, at least for me to be fresh.
Uh-huh.
So it's not going to be a traditional anything. It's not. It might be like a what, like huh, But it's so beautiful. I'm so excited about this. I got one
And
more
it's cool.
question.
It's like,
Go
yeah,
for it. Go for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, no,
Go ahead.
no. Please go. Please go.
Um, I mean, hip hop was born out of like sampling, music, basically, right? So yeah, that's like a guiding thing that we were always thinking about, because you can take this 10, 15, 20-second loop. If you can make a whole song out of that because you add more elements to it, that'll be incredible. So that's really the most basic thing I'm hoping to achieve with the music boxes. Yes. And as I don't think we mentioned it anywhere, but when you if you own the music box, you own the rights to the music. So you're more than welcome to do whatever you want with the music that you minted.
This is fantastic. The future of music is happening right now. I love it. So you probably answered this question in some fashion or another, and I know you have, but I'm gonna ask it anyway, right? So what niche is your team aiming to fill for Cardano and the greater blockchain DAG or DLT space?
um, so there's I think two niches. When it comes to the music one, we would love to help other musicians get their music more. visualized in a way. This was part of the collaborations, because those music boxes were created manually, and the music, came from known musicians, less known and more known musicians. But regardless, it's like taking their piece of music and trying to visualize that. And I think in this world specifically, there might be a place for music that isn't just a player where you press play. And I don't know, as a child, I loved gazing into Windows Media Player, psychedelic visuals. If you know what I'm
I
talking
do
about.
remember the days, full screen visualizer going, yep.
You know what I mean? So, and Winamp schemes, like that was stuff that would make the music even more tangible. I don't know how to express it. So, like, you can see and touch the music. Some music clips, they're more known than the music itself. Like the video of the music is what makes it so memorable. I'm hoping that we can build something that, people would be able to mint a music box randomly live with their music, for example, and they will be able to build something.
I'm
That's
really looking forward to that. I know it's
yeah,
just an idea, but that will be
yes,
amazing.
it's far in the future, probably months away, but the infrastructure for that is already there. Like I based my Blender renders and the code that is generating all the renders with that idea in mind. So it's not that far fetched. It's just we will probably need more hands to accomplish that. But that's also something that I would love to happen. So and I'm speaking constantly with other projects, Soundrig, Six City, Future Fest, and honestly, we are trying very much not to interfere with what they already doing and building. Um, we can coexist. All of these ideas can absolutely coexist. There are millions of people in the world. Not everything needs to be better than someone else. Yes, we could. One thing that I love in Cardano is there is the sense of community is less um, cynical, I feel, than other parts in the real world, let's call it like that, or other blockchains. A sense of community is something that I feel is actually genuine in most parts in Cardano. So I would love to interact with other projects. I would love to release our music on, Soundrig, for example, on Six City, to take their music, do stuff on MusicBox. I'm absolutely sure that there's a way for all of us to coexist. And even though we all kind of touch the same thing, I believe that we can all fulfill something that would still remain unique, as individual projects, but also as a music scene as a whole, and music projects on Cardano as a whole. We should all work together. Like, I would more than love to share ideas with other projects. I would love for them to share ideas with me, to inspire me. I would love to inspire them. So that's kind of the niche we would like to tackle on the music front. From a technological front, so Adabox is supposed to fill a lot of self-service mentality. Again, minting services is nothing new in Cardano. You have a ton of them, and you have very good ones: Anvil, Peppermint, NMaker. All of those built great tools, and we don't want to say and come out with some bombastic statement saying, oh, we're better than them, we're building something better. That's not the point. The point is to fulfill something that they just don't, and it's the self-service part. With Peppermint, you need to work with them, you need to collaborate with them, they charge you money for their services. It's something different. It's not as accessible. There's friction. I would say typically most people are not looking to necessarily interact when they approach something new. They would like maybe to do it themselves. They would like to learn themselves. They would like to try it themselves. Uh, Again, it's not true for a lot of people. A lot of people actually want to just go in, ask questions, interact, get the right direction, and you have those services exactly for that. For people who are like me, for example, when I enter a store, I hate to receive help. I don't like receiving help. I want to learn myself. That's like a something with my, that's my personality. I'm positive there's a lot of people like that. Um, and that's the kind of thing we want to fulfill on the Cardano side, that everything will be accessible, easy to interact with, easy to understand. You'll be able to mint. You don't need, not everyone that does an NFT project does a 10K drop. You know what I mean? Some people want to mint 100 pictures. Some people want to mint 50 music pieces that they made. Um, so this is the gap that we're trying to fill right now.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much. There's so many more questions I could ask, and I know we've already touched on so much. If anything, I would love to sit down with you and chat about, this in the future as Adabox is developed a little bit more, perhaps as other artists start to share their remixes or their contributions. Um, we'll leave it at there for today because it could keep going. I assure you, I have a problem with this. I feel like we're very similar in this fashion. You have a lot to say, and I'm just really thankful to have the time to sit down with you today. Um, you know,
Me too. Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, until next time, take it easy, all right?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we can do a Joe Rogan style podcast for 4 hours if you'd like one day. I don't mind.
You know what I mean? We can go through some tracks. We could review them, rate them, or just chat about stuff. There's a lot going on. Adam, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.